Ignite is an ongoing series of speedy presentations. They've ranged from building multi-person pogo sticks to hacking chocolate. Any topic that geeks hold dear. Each speaker gets only 5 minutes and 20 slides that auto-advance every 15 seconds. The talk you're about to hear was recorded live at one of the featured Ignite events around the world.
So I'm going to talk about befriending the corporate giant, and specifically my experience with Microsoft. I've always been on my own. I've had my own company for a long time. I've done big projects and small projects, and so in that process, I've always ended up working with companies like Oracle and Google and Microsoft, and I've learned a lot about that in the process of the last, I'm not going to say how many years of doing it. So I'm going to just kind of go through a lot of sort of hot points of actually the kinds of things that I do to make that relationship successful. And then at slide 13, I'm going to talk about the benefits and just ignore all my slides from that point on because I think that's a good thing to do. So I'm already 30 seconds behind. So I guess one thing you need to know is you need to understand the corporate giant. You know, the kind of things you need to know are like where do the revenues come from, where do they sell, what's their style, you know, the kind of things that like for example, Compaq versus HP. HP is very, very test driven. Compaq is very test driven. You need to know that kind of stuff. So if you're going to be wanting to do test driven development, you need to understand what their focus is. You need to understand, you know, I say how and what they eat. You know, that's like Amazon is online, Borders is a bookstore. If you're going to work with either of those kind of companies, you need to really understand that. If you're going to work with a consulting division, you need to know, that it is a consulting division. If it's a product division, you need to know that sort of stuff. You need to know if they're overstaffed or understaffed. And the reason that helps is if they're understaffed, there's a lot of things you can do to help. And my experience is, you always help for free, and then somehow it comes back. And it usually comes back in a much bigger way than it's given. I guess you need to know who their friends are. So, if you happen to do work with one of the competitors, you need to understand that. And there's nothing wrong with that, and they certainly expect you to do that. But it's really the way you work together. I guess teaming up through publications. Personally, I've written a lot of articles in the technical publications that Microsoft supports, and through doing that, you end up meeting a lot of the team members. I've had a lot of the articles I've written reviewed. So through that review process, you end up learning a lot and making contacts. Gosh, slide 11. That's a lot. I'm only on 7. So trade shows, you need to understand what trade shows they go to. So. And a lot of times they'll ask you to go help at trade shows. That's something I've done quite a bit. And you meet a lot of people, synergistic partners, whether it's training programs, whatever. You just need to find out who they partner with and try to kind of jump along that bandwagon. Finding other people doing the same thing. One of the things that you'll find is if it's a big company, there's lots and lots of programs and lots of people who are like you trying to get involved in those programs. So instead of trying to figure it out, you can just look around and see who else is doing it, see what they do, and do the same thing. I think that's probably the quickest way in. Look for what websites people publish on. So look at the different forums. I'm a very very into the development community, so I know where people post questions. But there'll be a lot of forums where the actual developers will post. You really want to be on those forums. So I guess sort of bottom line is you really want to keep involved with all the different pieces of the technology you're in. One of the things that I've learned is that all big companies seem to have rhythms, and rhythms are, like in the Microsoft world, their cloud offering now is really a big deal. Well, if you decided now you want to focus on clouds, it's the wrong time. You should have been on that 6 months ago when their marketing departments were looking at how they're going to spend money, what partners they're going to invite, what they're going to do. Now there's probably, it's too late. So you really need to make sure you're in front of that rhythm, not on the rhythm or behind the rhythm. And I guess, since I'm practically at slide 18 now, you sure this is 15 seconds? Yeah. So I think probably in conclusion, one why do you need to do this? And I think a couple of reasons. One is that you really want to know what that company's doing. You want to have access to the developers, to the marketing departments. You want to be a part of that team that's helping to deliver the product. And big companies are made of lots of little people like you, and they're very easy to work with if you can find them. And so, my experience has been very positive doing that. I've done it, somewhat with Oracle, quite a bit with Microsoft, and it's just it's a very, very positive way to work.